Part 5. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 41. Chapter 41 3 vs 3. The perception ninja quickly withdrew his perception. The other party had an elite ninja. If he noticed his perception, he would be in trouble. Captain, they should be on an escort mission, otherwise they wouldn't have brought ordinary people to the border battlefield, and even took shelter from the rain. Perception ninja analyzed. If they were on espionage or assassination missions, we shouldn't have been given a chance to find them. Escort mission at this time. An elite jonin, the standard combination of 3 jonin, because they also want to escort 2 ordinary people through our defense line? The captain snorted coldly. Now is the time of war, that is to say, escorting the target is very important, and Konoha probably has to accept this task. Using art to build a place to stay overnight, the client's willful request. I've seen this kind of idiot client a lot. The captain thought for a moment, then nodded fiercely. Even if it's an assassination, and ordinary people hold it back, it's not something we can do against Konoha's elite team. Go gather at least 3 teams, 2 junin, and take them down. The captain ordered another ninja, who was good at speed. He nodded and was about to leave. You, don't go anywhere. A somewhat immature voice suddenly came from behind, and the 3 of them were shocked, but before they could turn around, the voice said coldly. Shockwave. Boom. Even on a rainy day, the fiery ring of fire knocked the 3 Yuyan ninjas into the air. And the direction is exactly the hole opened by Orochimaru. Transfiguration pig. As soon as the fastest enemy hit the ground, he was ambushed long ago, and Wu, who used the flash technique to make a surprise attack, turned into a pink piggy who could only circle around on the ground. Asshole! How did this guy appear? The captain roared angrily, and was about to charge forward as soon as his feet touched the ground, but suddenly he paused, with a look of shock on his face. The art of Naruto seeing. At the entrance of the cave, the figure of Uchiha Mikoto appeared. Taking advantage of the opportunity of the enemy's mind shaking, he used illusion to surprise the enemy captain. Team leader. The enemy sensing ninja immediately discovered that the captain had been hit by an illusion, and immediately sealed it. Untie. The captain's face was stunned, and he woke up from the illusion. The perception ninja heaved a sigh of relief, moved his feet, but felt the ground suddenly crack. Earth Dungeon Heart Beheading Technique. The sound of the rope tree sounded from the ground, and the huge power brought by the strengthened body dragged the enemy's perception ninja, who is not good at physical skills, directly to the ground. Pyroblast. The explosive fireball the size of a wash basin hit the captain who had just unlocked the illusion right in the face. At the same time, a string of shurikens and kunai directly tied the captain into a sieve. Boom. Even in rainy days, the pyroblast technique that Wu used arcane power to launch still remained undiminished, and exploded violently. Boom. As expected of Yuyan's Chunin captain, Satoru's pyroblast and Mikoto's ninja sneak attack were directly dodged by him with a stand-in technique. Seeing the 2 teammates being plotted against one after another, the pink piggy glowed with chakra, and changed back. Being restrained by the transformation technique, it is almost an instinctive reaction of ninjas to explode chakra in a hurry, and Satoshi is quite speechless about this point. However, who called the transfiguration effect mandatory? Although there are complaints about flaws, it is enough. Transfiguration turtle. Continuing to inflict mental and physical insults on the enemy, Satoru activated the flashing technique and appeared behind the enemy captain. Naoki's Earth Dungeon Heart Beheading technique can control that Chunin for a period of time. In terms of his chakra amount, even if the enemy is a Chunin, he can hold back even if he fights for consumption. Under the surveillance of the mage's eye, the location of his substitute technique is no secret to Wu. It's on a branch of a big tree. Konoha Gale. With a powerful roundabout kick, Satoru kicked the captain, who was completely unresponsive to the ground. Mikoto caught the shuriken in time and was narrowly dodged by the captain. Sensei. 3 o'clock. Learn. Shockwave. The ring of flames knocked the captain flying again, and the target was the 3 o'clock direction. Art fire escape ho fireball. Boom. Mikoto's big fireball instantly drowned the captain's figure, but Gaku frowned. Miss Mikan, it's another body substitution technique. This time, the target of the enemy captain's stand-in technique was near the turtle. What is this? Illusion. The corners of the captain's eyes twitched wildly, and the tortoise circling in a daze on the ground made him a little at a loss. Untie. The tortoise was still walking around, and the method of dispelling the illusion was of course useless for the transfiguration. It was too late to try again. Facing Wu and Mikoto, who had already attacked again, he had no choice but to fight. Water escape water tooth bullet. The accumulated water on the ground and the rain curtain in the sky turned into two swirling water jets, attacking Wu and Mikoto at the same time from an extremely tricky angle. Satoru frowned, put on the hot speed, dodged to avoid the water column, and blessed himself and Mikoto with magic restraint. Mikoto quickly completed the seal. Fire escape dragon fire art. The straight line of intense flames quickly hit the incoming water column, giving Mikoto plenty of time to react. Flame bodyguard. The three spinning fireballs caused a burst of water vapor to rise up around Wu, and with the mist caused by Mikoto's fire escape and water column just now, the battlefield here is already filled with fog. Water escape mist concealment technique. It's not that only Kirigakure ninjas can use this kind of jutsu, it's just that they use it best, and they can use D-level ninjutsu to achieve A-level effects. Utilizing the powerful characteristics of arcane power, Satoru can also use the super standard, magic version of the fog concealment technique. Seeing Wu's figure slowly disappear, the enemy captain gritted his teeth. Although the opponent looked very young, he was still two children, but his strength was definitely the strongest among Chunin. Water escape water array wall. He gritted his teeth and used defensive ninjutsu to protect himself and his teammates, and when the water wall had just been completed. Transfiguration pig. Captain becomes piggy. Of course, there is no way for the little piggy to form a seal, the water wall will disappear immediately. At the same time, Mikoto's shuriken and Konoha made the piggy who couldn't perform spells into a sieve. Transfiguration turtle. The little piggy turned back into Captain Yuyin, who had been pierced with a ninja gear, and fell to the ground howling miserably. And the tortoise, which had just recovered its original shape, changed back again. If the casting principle of this type of protective ninjutsu is understood as guided magic, then transfiguration is to interrupt the chakra output through forced deformation, thereby interrupting the continuous output ninjutsu. After all, there are not many people in the entire ninja world who have as many special ninjutsu as the second generation of Naruto Senju Tobeken. Wind escape wind cut technique. Wu followed up with a ninjutsu attack, and the sharp wind blade beat the seriously injured Captain Yuyin to the brink of death. Miss Mikan, I'll leave it to you, Shenshu is about to lose its hold. A pyro explosion technique blasted the turtle on the ground into a barbecue, and violent water vapor rose up. If he hadn't deliberately kept his hands for other purposes, this ninja who hadn't had time to take advantage of his speed advantage would have disappeared just like that. 2 of the 3 rain hidden Chunin have been resolved. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziyu Jiang. Chapter 42. Chapter 42. The next step. In the battle between Naoki and the sensing rain hidden ninja, it can be seen that Naoki's combat experience is seriously lacking. If it wasn't for the successful sneak attack in the first attack, and having stronger physical strength and chakra than the opponent, Naoshi shouldn't be able to survive now. This is still in such a rainy day, and the environment bonus received by the water escape that Shenshu is good at is much greater, and the restraint received by the earth escape is not very great. However, The enemy perception ninja is an illusion ninja, and in the case of being attacked first, the effect of illusion is greatly reduced. Not only that, this ninja of the perception system judged the first time the three of them appeared. Among these three teenagers, there is no Konoha elite jonin at all. That big boss, the old god, is protecting the other three people in the cave. The youngest boy who was the first to appear did not appear in his initial perception at all. But now, two of them have been raided and killed, and they don't even have a chance to fight back a few times. Before he had time to think about it, a huge pyroblast had already flown over. Although Satoru prefers to use flash to get close, cooperate with shockwave, transformation technique and body technique to control the enemy and then burst damage, but fire is the most representative remote occupation. To deal with the remaining enemy, the flames of Wu's hands have never been extinguished, and they have become mobile fortresses that fire pyroblast. Moreover, the most convenient thing about magic compared to ninjutsu is that as long as the spell is cast, the spell will chase the target. Because the most important point for mages to cast single body spells is to use mental power to lock the target, which is the so-called you must have a target. For example, right now, Yuyin's Phantom Ninja finally got rid of the entanglement of the rope tree, but was chased by two huge fireballs of pyroblast. Of course, it's no wonder he can run faster than the flying speed of spells. If it wasn't for the long casting time of pyroblast, there wouldn't be two chasing him now. Boom! The violent explosion blew the rainwater into steam, and Rao had already used defensive ninjutsu to resist it. The intense heat and explosion also made Yuyin feel that the ninja never got up again. Fortunately, Wu and Yu quickly got it done. The rope tree, which was covered in mud and water, let out a sigh of relief, took out the rope and tied up the seriously injured enemy. We spent a lot of time, no problem. Probably not, Yuyin's border defense patrol density is not that high. Satoru had already seen Mikoto dragging two bound enemies over. The data encountered on the front line, before crossing the border, Mr. Ashimaru has already obtained it from the border defense. If we kill this team, we can have at least 2 hours of rest. The three of us actually killed Yuyin's experienced Zongnan patrol team. I really can't imagine it. It was only at this time that Mikan showed nervousness. She recalled the battle just now, and couldn't help feeling a little scared. Wu-jun, did we really do this? The enemy should still be guarding against Mr. Orochimaru, so we can succeed. That's right, Wu spread his hands and said with a smile, but Sister Mikan, don't doubt yourself, you've done really well. Yes, Mikoto, look, your clothes are not dirty. After Rope Tree tied up the captives, he watched Mikoto and Satoru and sighed. A master like you, who is still neatly dressed after the battle, look at me again, it's miserable. Hee, you all did a great job. Wu and the others turned around, and saw Dashimaru leaning against the entrance of the cave with his arms folded, and nodded with satisfaction. Drag them in. Next, I'll be on guard. You guys rest. Wu, your plan can be implemented? Yes, Teacher Orochimaru. Although the three of Mr. Ito did not witness this 3-on-3 battle with their own eyes, the tragic situation of the three Yokaku-Urchinin still made them shiver. Especially the samurai Sanada, he touched the bun on his head that the samurai were proud of, and grinned. People who have been blasted by Wu's pyroblast technique have miserable hair. The next thing to do is to delay the rest time as much as possible. The patrol team in this area was killed by them, and the anomaly would be discovered within 2 hours. Therefore, a relatively safe rest time is about 1 hour, but in fact, in the border defense zone, any accident may happen. Wu-Wu's plan is to draw out the accident in advance, and then make the enemy focus on the false target, so that the client's position can leave the border defense area as soon as possible. So, why are you going to such a small country at this terrible time? A group of people were roasting clothes around a bonfire in the cave, and Rope Tree, who seemed the most careless, asked carelessly. Even if you want to leave the land of fire, you should at least go to the land of earth, the land of wind, right? A small country will only be more dangerous in a war, right? This, if possible, we don't want to come out at this time, but I do have a last resort. Mr. Itio was still wiping his sweat with a handkerchief, and carefully glanced at the 3 Ogakure prisoners who were slumped in the corner. That, Ninja-sama, it doesn't matter if they are here? It doesn't matter, I keep them so that my subordinates can practice their torture skills. Orochimaru smiled sinisterly, his golden vertical pupils reflected the beating firelight, and with his pale face and long hair covering his face, he looked eerie. In the eyes of the captives, of course. After the practice is over, they will naturally be useless if they die, it doesn't matter even if they know something. Humph. Torture. As Hanzo-sama's subordinates, would we be afraid of your mere Konoha ninjas? Captain Yuyin snorted coldly. Although he was already very weak due to serious injuries, the mighty power of his leader Sanchoyo Hanzo still gave him full confidence. You can't escape, no one in the land of rain can escape our Yuyin's assassination. Hanzo-sama is a man known as a half-god. With a lineup like yours, you still naively want to pass through the land of rain? 10 more jonin are not enough? Hee, let's talk about these words after you survive the torture. Orochimaru smiled coldly, his vertical pupils narrowed slightly, Captain Yuyin's complexion changed. What is this? Captain Yuyin suddenly discovered that the ropes binding the 3 of them had turned into boa constrictors spitting out letters. The greasy snake body slid over his body, wrapping around his neck, the huge force made it difficult for the captain to breathe. Captain. Damn it. It's just an illusion, and it wants to kill me, dream. Captain. That's not an illusion. The perception ninja shouted in horror. He could perceive that there were indeed signs of illusion activation at the beginning, but now the python strangling his captain is indeed a real snake. Bastard. Afraid of, what? The captain was not breathing well, his face was flushed, and had already started to turn purple, but he kept his mouth shut. The boa constrictor is not poisonous. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 43. Chapter 43 Induction 1-4 for collection. Satoru looked at the corner of Orochimaru's beating mouth with some embarrassment. Obviously, Captain Yuyin on the opposite side didn't quite understand that the python's strangling power was not a safe and harmless option compared to snake venom. Woo, look at them, I'll go outside to get some food, and when I get back, I'll start to torture. Orochimaru walked away, and the summoned python also slid down the captain's body and followed him away. Yes. Satoru nodded, and exchanged glances with Nesuke and Mikoto. Captain Yuyin gradually recovered his breathing, and watched Orochimaru's figure disappear at the entrance of the cave. He gritted his teeth and winked at the sensing ninja. The bonfire gradually became smaller, Shenshu scratched his hair, and glanced at his wet clothes. Just light the fire like this, when can it be dried? It's been raining here all the time. These are the dry firewood that the captain has processed with ninjutsu. Even if you go to collect firewood now, it's still wet and can't be burned. Mikan pulled over the small pot next to the campfire, which contained boiled compressed biscuit soup, exuding bursts of aroma. Before the captain comes back, let's use this as a cushion. Although the captain hates this thing, I feel pretty good. Mikoto got up and distributed emergency food to everyone. Our time is limited, and the captain will immediately conduct torture when he returns. The internal defense of Yuyin in the direction of the country of birds will be deployed. Even if they don't know, there will be some valuable information. Satoru took the food and said scary words in a seemingly casual tone. But I prefer to be straightforward. If they don't tell me, I don't mind turning them into pigs. Perhaps roasting a sheep would be better? In fact, I will turn into a dog, and the dog will bite people. It's better to be a rabbit. The three of Ito and the three of the captives shivered together. The youngest of these ninjas, looking at the cutest little guy, is not only powerful, but also ruthless. And what kind of weird tricks are these? Damn it, I can't wait any longer, it's now, do it. Captain Yuyan made a few gestures with his fingers tied behind him. Yuyan nodded slightly, and the rope binding his hands fell off. Before being tied up by Naoshu, he had barely used his last consciousness to activate the illusion, which affected Naoshu, making him feel that he was quite trapped. And now, this has become the key to their escape. With the cover of the captain and his companions, he sensed that Yuyan quickly formed a seal, and activated the strongest illusion he has mastered so far. Hey! How many of you? With a loud roar, sensing Yuyan drew the eyes of the 6 people around the campfire to him, and before they could react, he successfully activated the illusion. Plop! The sound of falling to the ground came one after another, and Yuyan was panting violently. He knocked down 6 people in one breath, and he was still injured, and he almost lost his strength. It's done. Here you go. Captain, my technique against 6 people can only last for a short time, we must go. Quickly untied the ropes on the 2 companions, and the perception ninja immediately closed his eyes to perceive. Oops, that elite Jonin is not far from the entrance of the cave. He is rushing over. These people have trigger alarms. Damn it! The captain gritted his teeth hard, looked at the head that seemed to be so close that he could harvest it with his hands, and made a decisive decision. Go. Spread the information, and they will die. Before that Jonin comes back, run away. Even if you encounter him, he will definitely check the mission target as soon as possible. The fastest Yuyan pulled up 2 teammates and rushed out of the cave. And just as the captain said, Orochimaru, who was carrying 2 fish, saw them. His expression changed, but he still quickly rushed towards the entrance of the cave. It's done. The captain was overjoyed. This group of Konoha guys are waiting to die. Those bastards took away all our signaling devices. Hurry up and go. The nearest defense zone has Jonin-sama in charge. The 3 hurried away. Asshole. Captain Yuyan's face was ugly, and they had already advanced for almost half an hour, and they returned to the entrance of the cave just now. That Konoha Jaminin, the last time we met, we fell under the illusion. When the 3 of Yuyan finally found out that they had been hit by the Orochimaru illusion due to the serious injury of the ninja, Wu and his party had already discovered the second wave of Yuyan patrols. Orochimaru's method of manipulating psychic snakes is of great help to the investigation, allowing the team to safely bypass many enemy patrols. Oh! It seems that they have been notified. While advancing, in fact, Orochimaru has been monitoring the movement of the latest wave of patrols. They seem to have received some signal and went to our previous position. It seems that the plan has succeeded. The group's progress slowed down. Mr. Ito and the old butler were carried by the samurai Sanada and Orochimaru, which made them travel much faster. It's just that everyone knows that it's okay for a short time, but it's impossible to rush like a ninja for a long time. In case of a battle, there is no way to deal with it. They won't catch up. Mr. Ito recalled what happened in the cave before, and he couldn't help feeling a little scared. At that time, they didn't choose to kill us. It seems that you still don't understand how deterrent Mr. Ashimaru is. If they want to make a move, they will die. Wu smiled. Among the 6 people in the cave at that time, Mr. Ito was transformed from Orochimaru's shadow clone through transformation technique, and the old housekeeper was transformed from Wu's physical clone technique. The illusion in the rope tree was discovered by Wu from the very beginning. The Book of Medivh will react when it encounters illusion, and it is not difficult to decipher it if you know it is illusion. So, their escape later was just part of Wu's plan. Even if they do something, at worst, they will end up ahead of schedule and change their plan. But fortunately, the plan was relatively smooth. The 3 members of the Yuan patrol team should have informed their superiors of the escort destination information by now. Next, take a break, we leave the border defense zone at full speed. Good. Nakoki and Mikoto were very excited. They followed Satoru's plan all the way. Orochimaru was only a deterrent, and they basically didn't take much action. That is to say, for this A-level mission, in the case of Orochimaru's pressure, their 3-person team is actually the leader. After hard training, they suddenly found that after the first battle, they became more confident. In the border command center of Yuyan village, Commander Shangren frowned and looked at the embarrassed patrol team in front of him. The destination that can only be reached through our country of rain, is it a small country? In other words, the Konoha elite mission team, their escort destination, is likely to be the country of birds. The country of birds is a small country bordering the country of rain. It is located in the middle of the country of earth, the country of wind, and the country of rain, and borders the 3 kingdoms. If you want to get from the land of fire to the land of birds, you must pass through the land of rain. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 44. Chapter 44 Arrogant Forbearance 2-4 for collection. Yes, from the information they revealed, I think so. Captain Yuyan said angrily. We launched a sneak attack and escaped desperately. We didn't dare to do anything at all, that Junin is too scary. Of course it's scary, Konoha Kami no Orochimaru, the most proud disciple of Konoha 3 Hokage. The commander said coldly, through the description of Captain Yuyan, he has recognized the appearance of Orochimaru and the unique snake ninjutsu. It seems that those 3 children should not only be his subordinates, but also his disciples. He is using the escort task to train his disciples. It's really arrogant. Commander Yuyan gritted his teeth, but he had to admit that one-on-one, 2 of them were still dead in the face of Orochimaru. Ashimaru is a cunning guy. Although it seems that his disciples are inexperienced and the information is leaked, it may also be a trick arranged by him. Recalling the information collected for this war, Konoha ninjas, the commander knocked on the table. The kingdom of birds is indeed one that needs to pass through the land of rain, but at the same time, you can also reach the land of earth and the land of wind. However, the country of earth can be reached by passing through the country of grass, and the country of wind can be reached by passing through the country of rivers. Hidden Grass Village and Konoha are even more friendly. If they go to the land of earth, they have no reason not to go there. As for the kingdom of Sichuan, there is not even a hidden village, but there are some forces from our hidden rain village. If you go to the country of wind, no matter how you look at it, it will be safer than going from our country of rain. Indeed, if they have to pass through the land of rain, the most likely target is the land of birds. After hesitating for a moment, Commander Yuyan's expression turned serious, and he ordered decisively. The border defense line must not be chaotic, maintain the status quo, and send news to the country. A team of at least 3 Jounin is needed to hunt down the Konoha ninja team led by Konoha's 3rd-generation Hokage disciple Orochimaru at the border of the bird country. The borders of the land of wind and the land of earth also need attention. Ordinary Konoha Kamijino is not worth mobilizing so many teachers, but Hokage's disciple Orochimaru, and his disciples, are definitely worth it. Yes. Wu and his party, who drove across the border defense zone overnight, headed for his property in the land of rain according to the address given by Mr. Ito. There were no obstacles along the way. Most of the forces in the Kingdom of Rain guarded the border, and the domestic forces were relatively weak. And Wu's strategy has indeed worked. They have detected more than one time that there is a ninja team heading towards the country of birds. Therefore, without much effort, everyone arrived near the border of the land of winds and obtained Mr. Ito's documents. I can't see that Mr. Ito's business is doing very well. Naoki's mouth has not yet closed. Mr. Ito's so-called industry is a huge factory. What this factory produces is the most famous part of Yuyin Village's buildings, those large and small steel pipes erected. Those steel pipes are an important part of the drainage system of Yuyin Village, and Mr. Ito's business is to mine iron ore from the mines in the Land of Wind, transport it to the factory in the Land of Rain for smelting, and process it into drainage system components. They even contracted part of the construction of the drainage system. No wonder, Mr. Ito, you are so nervous about your business in the Land of the Wind. It's a mine. Enlightenment couldn't keep calm anymore. These guys with mines at home are simply big dogs. Teacher Orochimaru, you made a mistake this time. You can ask them to increase the money. For it. Mr. Ito wiped his sweat with a forced smile, and bowed with an apologetic smile. I'm just an ordinary person without the power to restrain a chicken. I rely on everyone's protection. Don't worry, in terms of remuneration, it's easy to say, haha, easy to say. The unique rainy weather in the Land of Rain made Wu and his whereabouts a little more secretive and less conspicuous. The next step is to enter the Kingdom of Wind. However, the defense force deployed by Yuyin Village on the border of the Land of Wind will not be weaker than that of the border of the Land of Fire. Moreover, the sand-hidden ninjas in the Kingdom of Wind are also enemies to them. Then, according to the plan, let's go to the country of Sichuan. From the country of Fire to the country of Rain, after obtaining the documents, they bypassed the country of Rivers and entered the country of Wind, which was their course of action. Kawano country does not have its own hidden village, so the border is almost unimpeded. Wu and his party used the highly concealed detection of the Mage's Eye to avoid a few sporadic waves of rain and entered the territory of Sichuan Kingdom smoothly. The border between the Kingdom of Sichuan and the Kingdom of Wind, without the cover of rain and the special terrain of the Kingdom of Rain, their actions are too easy to spot. The most famous scenery in the Kingdom of Winds is the desert and Gobi. In this kind of terrain, Wu and his group were very conspicuous even though they were wearing proper camouflage. For a big country like the Land of Winds, the routine monitoring of the border is not weak. Therefore, Wu and his party were discovered by the Sand Ninja without accident. Mr. Orochimaru, Mr. Samurai, Miss Mikato, you take Mr. Ito and Mr. Butler first, and Naoki and I will stop them. Looking at the two-man team of Shain who blocked them in front of him, Wu arranged in a calm manner. This is already their choice, the weakest breakthrough point for nearby defense forces. The eyes of the mage confirmed that there are no other sand-hidden ninja teams nearby, and it takes half a day to reach the goal. Located on the border between the Land of Wind and the Land of Rain, the iron mine owned by Mr. Ito. With the speed of Orochimaru and Samurai Sonata, it won't take long to rush directly with the client. Wu Jun, the three of us stay and deal with them together. When Mikan heard that Satoru wanted to follow the teacher first, she couldn't help but nervously said. You two are too reluctant to deal with them, they are not Yuyin. Mikan, it's no problem, the two of us don't need to defeat them, delay is still possible. Naoki looked serious, and although there were only two sand ninjas on the opposite side, they were undoubtedly Chunin. Unlike Yuyin, who focuses on personal strength and is better at assassination, Sand Yin is obviously stronger in terms of frontal combat effectiveness and coordination. Leave it to us, you have your own mission. Satoru and Mikato whispered a few words. Mikato's eyes widened. No way. Routines are all routines, just pay attention. Wu spread his hands and said seriously. Sister Mikato, this is an A-level mission for our three-person team. Mr. Orochimaru is only assisting and deterring. Therefore, someone from our team must escort Mr. Ito to the mine. You go with them, we'll catch up soon. But follow orders, Mikato. Shengshu looked at it and said seriously. Now, Satoru is our team leader. Mikato couldn't refute Naoki's words, so she just nodded and turned to catch up with Orochimaru and the others. Heh, I'm so confident. Looking at the two little ones left in front of them, the two sand-hidden Kuren felt that they were underestimated. Are Konoha's ninjas all so arrogant? Satoru and the others no longer wear hooded raincoats, so it is easy to tell from their clothes that they are not actually Chunin. You probably haven't heard of. Satoru showed an inexplicable smile. Konoha's ninja is the scariest thing. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziyu. Chapter 45. Chapter 45 Good Things 344 Collection. Enlightenment and Rope Tree vs Sand Hidden Chunin X2. But now, without the deterrence of Orochimaru, the two Sandyin Chunin have sent a signal that someone has crossed the border, and they can use their full strength. Moreover, this time it was a face-to-face battle, and there was no sneak attack first. Woo, in this desert environment, water dungeon will be greatly affected. I can only use earth dungeon to fight against the enemy. Nesuke wiped off his sweat, and the two sand-hidden ninjas on the opposite side fully demonstrated the confidence of a great ninja. They had no intention of calling for backup at all. But yes, both of them are 5 great hermit villages. The 2 middle ninjas of Cheyenne and the 2 lower ninjas of Konoha still have to call people, and should they be ninjas when the news spreads? Be flexible. It's not that it's useless if you're affected, it's just that you don't have the environmental blessings like the land of rain. Satoru smiled, and patted Nakoki on the shoulder. I'll show you something nice later. Before Shenshu had time to think about what the so-called good things were, the two Chunin on the opposite side were already furious. Asshole! A mere ninja, actually chatting in front of us? The burly Chunin wearing a turban said angrily. He seems to be impatient. He recognized Orochimaru's appearance just now, and Konoha sent a ninja of this level into the Kingdom of Wind at this time, which is simply provocative. And although there is no formal hostility, both sides are well aware of the high-level attitude, and they are here for escort missions at this time. If you let them succeed, it will be a blow to your own morale before the battle. But you can't kill Konoha ninja directly. That will directly destroy the ambiguous relationship with Konoha. It seems that we have to teach them a lesson, then detain them and let Konoha demand someone. Well, the signal has been sent. I hope the Jonin-sama can stop Orochimaru as soon as possible. Another afro-headed Chunin wearing windproof glasses shrugged. Then, let's get started. If we waste time dealing with them, we will be reprimanded by Jonin-sama. Shua. The two sand-hidden Chuyunin disappeared in an instant. It was an instant body technique. In the air, the two Chunin quickly formed seals and performed spells together in a tacit cooperation. Fire escape great fireball technique. Wind escape gale palm. Although the two Sandyin Chunin said it easily, it is not a mistake they will make to underestimate the enemy. The two Konoha shinobi in front of him, although they are young, are disciples of Orochimaru. Since you dare to stay, make up your mind. Fire escape gale fireball. Boom. The two sand-hidden Chunin made their big moves from the very beginning, using the characteristic of wind escape to enhance the effect of fire escape. They performed combined ninjutsu. With the help of the strong wind, a large flame swept towards Wu and Zishu. Judging by the momentum, this move would burn off a layer of skin. No way. This is a C-level ninjutsu. The power is already a B-level ninjutsu. Zishu gave a strange cry and quickly formed a seal. Now he can only choose the right one from the few C-level ninjutsu. Earth Dungeon, Return of Earthland. Water Escape Water Chaos Wave. Rope Tree and Satoru also performed combined ninjutsu tacitly. Earth Dungeon Mudstone Barrier. Boom. The super large flame bomb was wrapped in a strong wind and smashed hard on the soft mud wall that quickly rose in front of Wuhizishu, stirring up a large cloud of steam, and then went out. The eyes of the two sand-hidden Chunin widened in horror. These two sub-ninjutsu not only used C-level ninjutsu to perform compound ninjutsu, but were also strong enough to compete with their compound ninjutsu. No wonder you dare to stay. You have some skills. The afro-headed ninja wields both kunao, intending to use the instant body technique to fight close to the body. I don't believe it, your ninjutsu is so good, and you still have enough time to practice your ninjutsu. Shockwave. Boom. The afro-headed Chunin who was about to approach Wu was blown away by a ring of flames, and then he heard a flat voice. Be quiet for a while. Transfiguration pig. The afro-headed Chunin turned into a pink piggy and turned around blankly, making the strong Chunin's eyes widen. What kind of sorcery is this? However, the afro Chunin quickly reacted, and chakra broke out to release the shackles of the transformation. Hold on. Transfiguration turtle. Before he could finish his shout, the afro Chunin turned into a turtle again, but this was enough to remind his partner. Fire escape dragon fire art. The burly Chunin already understood what partner meant, dodged Nawaka's shuriken, and Xiongguo spewed out his fastest fire escape ninjutsu. Tisk. Wu frowned, and a flash technique came behind the strong ninja. Dragon breath. A huge flaming faucet took shape in front of Wu, and sprayed it down at the burly Chunin who couldn't keep up with his speed. Ah! There was no time to perform the body substitution technique, and the strong Chunin was sprayed with a mouthful of dragon's breath, and the high-temperature compressed flame burst out with terrifying coercion, almost igniting the surrounding air. The strong high-temperature burning and suffocation caused the strong Chunin to fall into chaos in an instant. If it wasn't for his strong physical fitness, he would have lost consciousness, but his body was already charred black. Maybe it was the severe pain that woke him up. The powerful fire magic that Wu has just mastered recently, Dragon's Breath, except for the short range of action, speed, and control are nothing to say. Is it powerful? This is an AoE spell. Moreover, the cooperation of the flash technique enables this spell to exert its great value in actual combat. It won't be able to hit people because the effective distance is too short. Everyone knows that dragons can breathe fire, but did you know that they can also breathe marshmallows? It's just that they usually lack a reason to breathe marshmallows. Wu thought of the casting principle of the dragon's breath technique again. Medivh complained, and the corners of his mouth twitched. There are no dragons in this world, but does this mean that dragons are highly skilled in arcane magic? Aside from Medivh's complaints, the burly Chunin who howled miserably was still in a state of confusion. Wu directly pulled out his long stick, and smashed him into the ground with a sap. And the opportunity won by the strong Chunin allowed the Afro Chunin to burst out of chakra for the second time to break free from the transformation technique, and completed the only B-level ninjutsu he had mastered before Nakoki got close. This young man can actually use two kinds of property changes. The afro-headed Shuyunin's mouth was bleeding, and his meridian had been injured by two consecutive bursts of chakra, but his companion was knocked down instantly, and he had no choice but to work hard. Wind escape vacuum wave. The violent sickle weasel-shaped wind blade is spit out from the mouth of the explosive head ninja. This is a powerful ninjutsu that can cut off the target's body and body chakra. Oops. Zishu has barely completed defensive ninjutsu, but in front of the violent B-level ninjutsu, C-level earth escape is not enough. The defensive wall of Tulu's return was strangled and shattered by the violent wind blade, and Rope Tree had no time to hide. Summon Water Elemental. With a loud shout, Wu's hands shone with dazzling arcane brilliance, and between the Rope Tree and the Tudun defensive wall, a huge water ball appeared with splashes of water. This is. Is this psychic art? But what kind of psychic beast is this? Not only the Afro Chuyunin, but even Nawaki opened his mouth in shock. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziyu. Chapter 46. Chapter 46 New Crisis 444 Collection. Puff. After passing through the earth wall defense, the weakened wind blade hit the huge water mass, cutting a large hole in the water mass. The water mass made a loud gurgling sound, like blowing bubbles with a straw in a water glass. But that's the limit. For a mass of water, what does it matter no matter how many holes are cut out? The water ball is flopping, but the posture looks like swimming. The wind blade that entered its body was completely wiped out within a few beats. A large string of harmless air bubbles floated up from its body, dissipating invisible with the sound of pop. Only then did Shenshu see the appearance of the large water mass. It's not a water blob either, but rather has what appears to be indistinct little heads. On the two huge arms made of water flow, there are two wrist guards shining with inexplicable light, and the lower part of its body is completely supported by the flowing water flow. The wristband engraved with magic words is the skeleton, the binding force made by the arcane is the skin, the water flowing in the arcane field is the blood, and the water spirit summoned from the outer plane is the elemental creature of the soul. This is the description in the Book of Medivh on the principle of summoning water elements. Through the study of enchantment, Wu had successfully created a pair of enchanted wristbands before the mission started, but the water elf used as the soul could not be found. After all, this is not Azeroth, there are no four planes of earth, water, fire, and wind, and there are no elemental elves and elemental lords. However, this is not a problem, just like the shadow clone, the advanced clone technique can have self-awareness. Therefore, you only need to make some changes based on ninjutsu, and the ninja version of summon water element is complete. Gilililu. I haven't learned the shadow avatar or the water avatar yet. This little thing has a bit of low intelligence, but it's enough for now. Enlightenment is a little regretful, there is not enough time, otherwise, when he learns the B-level shadow clone, the water element can directly exist as his clone. This thing is much more powerful than the water body in the water escape. It doesn't need to be controlled by the body at all, it can attack independently, and it doesn't need to divide the chakra equally like the shadow clone. But of course, there is no shadow clone's ability to transmit consciousness back to the main body after dissipating. As a battle pet, it does not affect him at all to use the clone technique. Wow! Wu, how did you come up with such a big guy? Is this the good thing you said earlier? Shenshu cheered up, realized that this water escape ninjutsu is so handsome, can he learn it? Well, I want to say that when I used the water making technique, I forgot to take the cup, do you believe it? Satoru shrugged and looked at the afro-headed Chunin. Rope tree, don't relax, the enemy hasn't fallen yet. Good. Naoki's hands quickly formed seals, the opponent's meridians were damaged, and he barely launched a B-level ninjutsu. Now it is the end of the battle. Leave it to me, Earth Dungeon Rock Pillar Gun. The afro-headed Shuyunin was breathing hard, when he saw a movement under his feet, he couldn't help but jumped hard, and laughed angrily. Bastard! Even if I'm injured now, I can't hit with this technique. Call out! Snapped. Ah! Zongren, who was in the air, let out a scream, and was hit by a large water bomb that flew rapidly, and flew out. Hey, you don't think that such a large water element is here to see? Satoru picked out his ears, and the water bombs fired by the water element were not only big in size, but because of the use of arcane power, the attack power was not weaker than ordinary sea-level ninjutsu. Earth Dungeon Rock Pillar Spear. This time, the afro-headed Chunin, who was almost unconscious, could no longer control his landing point, and was hit by Naoki's ninjutsu. A huge rock pillar pierced through the chest, and the afro-headed Chunin was killed by the mere ninja. Naoki grinned, it was his first time to kill someone. My legs are a little weak. Shenshu wanted to move forward, but fell to the ground with a plop. For this pure and sunny boy, killing someone for the first time seemed a bit too exciting. Although as a ninja, killing enemies seems to be a normal thing, but Naoki is only 12 years old after all. Seeing the blood spurting from the enemy, Wu couldn't help covering his forehead. Compared with Shenshu, a child with only 12 years of life, he is even less used to seeing dead people. In the spiritual space, the book of Medivh was flipped gently, and the soft arcane light soothed Wu's spirit. Fortunately, this was not the person Wu killed with his own hands. The burly Chunin who was burned chaotically by a dragon's breath just now, and was knocked down by Wu's sap, was only seriously injured. Huh, Sheng Shu, it's also the first time I've seen such a bloody scene. After all, I have to get used to it. The purple arcane halo in his eyes dissipated. Wu took a long breath, walked to the rope tree, and pulled him up. He is not dead, maybe you are the one who died. Let's go, the remaining one can still cause a little trouble for Sand Yin, at least they have to take care of him personally. The water element swam over with a gilu-gilu. Wu waved his hand, and a thin stream of water separated from the water element and flew towards the rope tree. Open your mouth. Naoshu opened his mouth in a daze. Water flowed into Naoshu's mouth, sweet and delicious. It tastes great. Smacking his lips, Nakoki regained his energy, forgetting the anxiety and discomfort of killing the enemy. Therefore, children in the ninja world are surprisingly adaptable in this regard. Can I learn this technique? It's so handsome and practical. Wait for you to be stronger. This is also difficult in a B-level technique, and you have to use props. With the official endorsement of Konoha's senior management, it is no longer a problem for Satoru to continue to develop ninjutsu. Now Konoha is not like Kakashi later, who became a jonin at the age of 12 and created a super genius of A-level ninjutsu Chidori. If there were no previous arrangements and so many special techniques were created, Wu's existence would already be beyond the standard. Teacher Ashimaru, it should have been, huh? Wu's complexion changed, and he pushed the rope tree away. Run. Flash. Boom. A series of emerald green light balls hit the place where Wu and Naoshu had just stood, cutting the ground into a horrible scene. Damn it! Enlightenment appeared next to the still shocked Naoshu. For a moment, Enlightenment only felt a flash of light in the book of Medivh in the spiritual space, and someone was casting illusions on them. What happened? Naoshu held Konoha and looked around nervously, but couldn't find the enemy at all. The power just now is a B-rank ninjutsu. That's right, B-level ninjutsu wind escape vacuum jade. Wu holds a long stick and has summoned the eyes of the mage, but still cannot find the enemy. Someone was casting an illusion on us just now, but I found out, and he decisively switched to using ninjutsu to kill us. Cold sweat dripped down Wu's temples this time. It was the first time they faced assassination directly. Interesting, it should be Jonin, right? Can't Mr. Orochimaru attract him? Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 47. Chapter 47 Battle against Jonin 1-4 for collection. Is it Sagakushi Jonin? Damn it, it's too shameless to use illusion to attack us two Jonin. Sheng Shu couldn't help snorting coldly. However, even so, it still failed. One of their two Chunin died and the other was wounded. Are you aware of what you said? Enlightenment complained in a low voice. The mage's eyes didn't detect the enemy, and the book of Medivh didn't respond, so the enemy probably didn't continue to use illusion, but used hidden ninjutsu. The most likely one is Tudun, that is to say, he may be at our feet, waiting for an opportunity to attack. Humph, I'm good at wars of attrition. Naoki wiped the corner of his mouth, and tightly held Konoha's hand. Although he was extremely nervous, Naoki still gritted his teeth to cheer himself up. 3 flaming balls were spinning around. Wu put on the flaming body protection, and at the same time applied magic restraint to himself and Shenshu. Earth Dungeon Earth Stone Dragon. As soon as the protection was done, the sneak attack arrived. A huge amount of earth and rocks formed an astonishingly long dragon, rushing from behind Wu and Shenshu. So strong. The enemy Jonin hides under the ground and launches a sneak attack from the dark. The vast Gobi of the Kingdom of Wind gives him an excellent environment for performing spells. Fiery speed. Grabbing the rope tree, Wu's mage's eyes immediately spotted the formed earth dragon, and immediately took the rope tree to escape. In order to delay time, the water element was smashed to pieces by the earth dragon. Take it. Satoru gave Shenji a small scroll. If you encounter danger that you can't avoid, just tear one apart, but remember it's best to face an open place. This is. Zishu also knew that now was not the time to ask, so he put the scroll in his arms with a serious face, and quickly started running. Earth Dragon is not the only one with the power to pounce. Earth Dungeon Huanquan Swamp. Shinobi Sando in the dark can clearly see that Satoru is more difficult to deal with, so his first target is Naoki. Oops. While Naoshu was running, he stepped into the huge swamp formed by ninjutsu. He gritted his teeth fiercely, and before his arms were restricted, he began to make seals. Earth Dungeon, diving in the earth. Pretty. Satoru, who found Naoshu in danger and rushed over, stopped and couldn't help giving a thumbs up. Rope Tree's earth escape ninjutsu can make him move quickly in the underground soil. Even if the opponent creates a swamp, the enemy will not continue to send chakra when there is another enemy that is more difficult to deal with. Sure enough, the rope tree successfully escaped from the swamp formed by Huanquan Swamp, and got out from another ground. A mouse hiding in the ground. Naoki snorted angrily. After such a long battle, even the chakra reserve beyond ordinary people was almost bottomed out. Xiangwu winked, and seeing Wu's stern eyes after being stunned for a while, he bit his lip, nodded fiercely stubbornly, and began to form seals. This guy. Seeing Naoki's insistence, Wu could only sigh softly and cooperate with all his strength. The long stick in Wu's hand was coated with a layer of faint purple arcane power, and the surface was transformed wind chakra. Really, if the wind element is more concentrated, it will be lightning. The thunder dunk chakra is restrained against the earth dunk, but I can't use it now. Wu twitched his mouth. The natural magic corresponding to the wind element, such as lightning bolts, etc., he already knew the formation principle, but he hadn't tried it yet. Still don't use it in combat. Guardian Secret Cudgel. Enlightenment took advantage of the powerful bonus of arcane power, as well as the strong physical fitness that had been tempered, to smash the weak earth dragon to pieces with one stick. Oh! Didn't continue to send chakra at all. Enlightenment frowned, the enemy was even tougher than imagined. Did assassination really become a habit? Yowu procrastinated for a short while. Shenshu had already completed his technique. Earth Dungeon Earth Flow Wall. On the way to the Land of the Wind, Nakoki has practiced his first B-level ninjutsu with the help of Orochimaru. The most famous defensive ninjutsu in Earth Dungeon, but it can be used not only for defense, but also for trapping or tracking enemies. Boom! The terrain is changing drastically, and the soil flow wall is slow to take shape under the control of the rope tree, and then soon. Found it? His eyes lit up, Shengshu let out a loud shout, and the ground not far from them rose rapidly, and then a large amount of earth and rocks rushed out of the ground, engulfed by a figure in the combat uniform of the Saiyan Umbu. Wrong. Wu let out a low cry, and the fireball in his hand quickly formed, hitting the figure engulfed in the raised earth and rocks. Boom. Under the impact of the fireball technique, that figure turned into shattered clods and fell down. It's an earth clone, no, it's an earth double. Shenshu also discovered that the substitute of the earth escape technique can use soil or rocks as the medium, which is really very convenient. However, for ordinary substitutes, you need to choose the medium yourself, and the most commonly used ones are wooden blocks or small animals. But in this Gobi, there are no such things at all, and the application of ordinary body substitutes is limited, and earth substitutes don't have this trouble. Damn it, it's too strong. Naoki was panting violently, performing unskilled B-level ninjutsu, and forcibly controlling him to track and trap enemies, so that Nezuki's chakra had bottomed out. Be careful! Satoru, who was guarding the surroundings, suddenly changed his face, and flashed behind Naoki in an instant. Shockwave. Boom. Unlike the previous test against Orochimaru, Satoru now has much stronger magic attack power and side effects. Also, there's a world of difference between having your feet on the ground and being stable in the air. Therefore, this time, the enhanced version of the shockwave successfully rushed out from the back of the rope tree, and the enemy who was about to jump up with a kunao in his hand was sent flying. Of course, since Satoru appeared almost in the middle of the two, the rope tree was also knocked into the air. Transfiguration Pig. The sand-hidden Jamin who was knocked into the air turned into a pink piggy, but in just a few seconds, he instinctively burst out chakra and broke through the transformation technique. However, in just a few seconds, there was still time for Satoru and Nakoki to reunite. This is transfiguration? Weird boy, no wonder two Chunin were killed by two genin. Sagakoshi Jonin, who finally officially appeared, spoke for the first time. For Jonin, breaking free from the deformation technique will not cause great damage to the meridians, but severe pain is unavoidable. But that's all for now. Feeling the tingling pain from the meridians, Saiyan's upper ninja looked ugly. No matter how strong his lower ninja was, he was still a lower ninja. Wind escape vacuum waves? Sand-hidden Shinin quickly completed the seal, and a large swirling wind blade spewed out from the mouth. Go to hell! Boom, boom. The violent wind blades raged, blasting the Gobi gravel into gravel, and the sky was full of dust. Sagakoshi Kamizu frowned, in his perception. Actually escaped. Is it the instant body technique just now? Beyond the sand and dust, Shengshu looked at the shattered ground with lingering fear, took a deep breath, and his heart beat violently. Woo, this scroll is too powerful. In the hands of Naoki and Satoru were two open scrolls, the magical scrolls that sealed the blinking technique. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziyu. Chapter 48. Chapter 48 True Strength 2-4 for collection. Assassination type Jonin is much more troublesome than facing gang, especially this guy is not weak in front. The flying sand and dust dissipated quickly, and the cautious Seigen Jonin disappeared from their sight again. Wu raised his eyebrows and snorted coldly. It's too cautious, but this is also an opportunity. Shenshu, once I start it later, you will run away with all your strength, and I will delay the time. What? Shengshu was taken aback for a moment, then gritted his teeth and let out a low growl. That's Jonin. Wu, you are a genius, but you can't be willful at this time. Even if you delay him, it should be me who delays. Naoki looked more serious than ever before, staring at Satoru with staring eyes. Although you never called me senior brother or senior, the reality is that I am more than 2 years older than you. I'll do it first. Your genius survival is much more important to the future of the village than mine. Ah. Wu was silent for a moment, then chuckled helplessly, and gave a heavy blow to the stick in his hand. Really, senior brother Naoki, I am the team leader. Have you forgotten what you said to Sister Mikan earlier? I like nerds so much, I wouldn't take the initiative to ask for death. Naoki looked at Wu with a dark face and looked at himself with extreme contempt. You're not a beauty, well, you can't even be a beauty. I have my own plan, you go first. It's not an easy task to meet Mr. Ashimaru and the others. It's just escaping from Jonin. I have experience. You forgot the test that teacher Orochimaru gave me before? Satoru gave a reason that made Nakoki speechless. Although it was a test, at that time I was able to escape from teacher Orochimaru without injury. Now I have no problem escaping. But... okay. Stop chattering and obey orders. Wu's face turned serious, and he gave a low drink. Get ready. If you don't leave, if you are taken hostage, I really can't leave. Sheng Shu bit his lip tightly, a stream of blood flowed down, he squeezed the kunao in his hand, and looked at Wu's serious expression. You must catch up, otherwise. No, otherwise, what I said, doesn't it count? Rope Tree let out a sigh of relief, and then laughed. It's true, I believe you. Very good, then, it's now. Wu put the stick on the ground, grinned, and grabbed it with both hands. Water element condensation. Walk. The figure of the rope tree disappeared instantly, and quickly swept towards the direction where Orochimaru and the others left. If Orochimaru and Mikoto have already escorted Mr. Ito to the destination, then rush there by themselves, and they still have time to come to save Satoru. Wait for me. Following Wu's movements, a certain ground not far behind him churned like mud. Boom. Puff wow. The ground rolled, and then quickly rose, and a huge fountain gushed out of it. The fountain didn't disperse, but the huge water element was reshaped, and inside it was a struggling figure. This guy has such a steady style of acting, he can be called a role model for my generation. Wu smiled coldly. Just now, the water element was crushed by the earth dragon and disappeared, and then it turned into water and seeped into the ground. The soundless and invisible water flow serves as Satoshi's perception medium, and perceives Seigen Yanobu, who is hiding in the ground with Todo. The underground around here has been infiltrated by the water infiltrated by arcane power. And the recondensed water element is like a water prison for Sagakure Jonin. The water element was violently rolling and compressing, and the super strong water pressure tightly restrained Sagakushi Jonin's actions. What ninjutsu is this? He reluctantly stretched out his hands to seal, intending to use ninjutsu to break through this special water prison. Don't worry. A magnificent arcane brilliance flashed in Wu Wu's eyes. After fighting for so long, he didn't feel out of strength at all. His chakra comes from the transformation of arcane power, and it is not refined from physical energy and spiritual energy at all. Therefore, the physical strength corresponding to the body energy is only used as a contingency battle, and the consumption can be ignored. As for the spiritual energy that guides the power of arcane magic, it is also called magic power by mages. For Wu, who possesses the Book of Medivh. The Book of Medivh, the analysis progress is 42%, the mana is returned by 21% when casting spells, and the upper limit of spell damage is increased by 21%. Therefore, the current enlightenment is not just a genin who is outstanding among the genin. As long as I want, I can play with you now. In the perception of the mage's eye, the rope tree has left the range of perception. Let's start. The purple arcane brilliance of Wu's hands instantly turned into a dreamy bright color, and the temperature in this battlefield in the Gobi dropped instantly. Jonin, who was working hard to form seals in the water element, shivered abruptly. He found that the speed at which he formed seals was so slow that he himself could not believe it. What's going on? The water is getting cold. My hands are freezing. Can Water Dungeon do this kind of thing? Snowflakes danced all over Wu's body, and 3 icy orbs of ice replaced the flame orbs of Lai Yan's body protection, spinning around Wu. Ice bodyguard. A cruel smile curled up on the corner of Wu's mouth. Now that we have reached this point, although the dead will occasionally leak secrets, the probability is much smaller than that of the living. Deep freeze. A circle of dazzling ice crystal storm swirls around the water element, and in an instant, the huge water element was directly frozen into ice cubes under Wu's ice spell. Together with the sand hidden inside the ninja. Ice done, he is a blood-following ninja. Although frozen, Jonin is Jonin, he struggled desperately, and broke out chakra trying to break through this bondage. This kid, he has Bingdu's blood inheritance boundary. So, that's the case, we must warn the village. Drink. The chakra erupted crazily, Sagakushi Jonin had already realized that he might not escape death today. But at least, find an opportunity to use the secret communication technique to send back information about Konoha, a dangerous enemy. Crack. Sagano Shinobi could feel that the ice around his body began to shatter in his own struggle. It's almost. Frost Bolt. Ice Spear. Call out. A huge arrow of ice emitting a chilling air, and a spear of ice that was crystal clear and pulling a magnificent trail almost simultaneously hit the Sandgakure Jonin who was about to break free. Puff. Plop. Sagakure Jonin, who still had ecstasy on his face, was shot through with arrows and fell to his knees at the moment when he was about to break free from the freeze. This is not a game, these two spells have the initial destructive power of C-level ninjutsu. With the addition of spells, they are already proper B-level ninjutsu. Satoru's voice sounded beside Sane Kami Shinobu, who could hardly keep his eyes open. This should be a critical strike. Frozen by the low temperature condensed by a large amount of water elements, your body has been eroded by the low temperature silently, so fragile. Puff. Another crystal clear ice spear pierced his body, which was rapidly losing temperature. Vulnerable. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 49. Chapter 49 Mikoto's Determination 3-4 for collection. In the ninja world, apart from some special forbidden techniques, secret techniques, blood succession elimination, etc., even in the blood succession limit, there are very few abilities that can achieve decisive results in a short period of time. Therefore, when seeing Satoru perform a suspected ice escape and blood succession technique to freeze himself, Sagakushi Jonin still has the confidence to break free and fight back. Of course, the reality not only slapped him hard in the face, but also killed him mercilessly. Ice Dungeon is a blood succession limit created by the fusion of Water Dungeon and Wind Dungeon, and it occasionally appears in the ninja world. In the Land of Water and the Land of Snow, there are legends that such ninjas exist, but there are differences between them. According to the legend of the Land of Water, there is a family that can use its own chakra to perform ice-type secrets. And the so-called ice escape in the snow country is just using the icy and snowy environment of the snow country, and using the wind escape to assist it. It is not the ability of the blood successor to limit the boundary. And on the Gobi in the Land of Wind, there is no water, let alone ice. This is undoubtedly the real ice escape blood successor boundary. I must pass, information. Gritting his teeth tightly, Sagashi's burly Chunin, who was served by Wulong's breath and sap at the beginning, the continuous burning effect made him faint even if he wanted to. The heavy injury made him unable to move at all, so he could only grit his teeth, keep quiet and recover his strength silently. The part of his body that was severely burned by the dragon's breath technique has been carbonized, and the double injury he suffered physically and mentally made him have to do his best not to howl. In Zhuangshuo's opinion, it should be easy for Jonin-sama to deal with these two weird little ninjas under Konoha. Not to mention, this Jonin-sama is an Umbu ninja who is good at assassination. But he never imagined that not only a lower ninja kid escaped, but the upper ninja master couldn't stop him, and he himself. He was directly killed by this little guy. Kara. He must be the hidden genius of Konoha, it must, huh. Zhuangshuochunin looked ugly, and he suddenly found that his feet had lost feeling. What caused this phenomenon was the hard ice that appeared on my feet at some point. It was discovered. The Zhuangshuochunin suddenly raised his head, and saw Wu's eyes shining with dazzling light in the distance. Not dead yet? Really? Wu shook his head regretfully. Under the surveillance of the mage's eyes, the strong Chunin thought that the disguise was not bad, but did not escape Wu's eyes. Ice crystals shone, and a crystal clear ice spear quickly formed on Wu's right hand. The longer it takes, the more accidents are likely to happen. It's not good to be discovered by others. So, please die in peace. In front of a certain mine at the junction of the land of wind and the land of rain, Mr. Ito wiped his sweat excitedly. Ha, ha ha. It's finally here. Those nasty bastards from the kingdom of wind, let me see how you are still playing tricks. Most of the way was silent, and the old butler who didn't talk much also showed emotion. This mine is the biggest asset of his boss. Looking at the guards guarding the mine gate far away, Mikoto breathed a sigh of relief. This is the destination, then we just need to go straight in, shall we? It's not that simple. The samurai Sanada, who has been suppressed by the performance of the ninjas, clenched the samurai sword at his waist. They have already spotted us, but they didn't come forward to greet us. Is this the attitude towards the boss? Mikoto was startled, carefully watching the state of the guards. Some of them have gone back, are they going to call someone? Could it be? Hee, it seems that our mission is not over yet, Orochimaru sneered. Mr. Ito, are you sure those documents are really useful? This. Mr. Ito's complexion is ugly, the facts are in front of him, and he is beginning to be uncertain about the official conduct of the Kingdom of the Wind. I don't know these guards, but as long as my subordinates in the mine are here, there will be no problem. Mr. Ito gritted his teeth fiercely. He had already reached the gate of the mine. How could he be willing not to go in? Moreover, things have not reached the worst level, the mine has only changed the strange guards, not even the signs. There is still ITO mining on the door instead of National of the Winds XXX, which means that the officials of the Land of the Winds are just trying to deceive people. They are coming. The samurai Sanada stood in front of the boss and the housekeeper. He only made a few occasional shots along the way. Leave it to me this time. Mikan, team leader Satoru is not here, so how do you deal with the current situation under your own circumstances? Orochimaru's voice sounded softly beside the nervous Mikoto, making her wake up quickly. That's right, the two of them are still desperately delaying time, and now I'm the only one here. Only by finishing the matter here as soon as possible and completing the entrustment can we return to help the two of them. If you ask Mr. Orochimaru to take the lead now, then what the two of them have done will be meaningless. Mikoto's dark eyes became firm. Even if I'm the only one, our team's mission hasn't failed yet. Uchiha Mikoto has always been in the middle of the three-person team. The schoolboy Mito Mongo, who is a year younger than her, has become the well-deserved leader of the team with his versatile ninjutsu, excellent physical skills, meticulous thinking, and strong control. Although he is the youngest, Mikoto and Nakoki naturally regard him as the core of the team. Not only in terms of personal ability, but even in the way we get along, Satoru seems to be a reliable senior, giving people a sense of peace of mind. Naoki, who is 1 year older than Mikoto, has the blessing of the dual bloodlines of the Senshou clan and the Uzumaki clan. Although he himself said that this kind of blessing is not obvious, compared with others, it is already very strong. With a huge amount of chakra and solid basic skills, although his battles will not be grand, he rarely makes mistakes. The hot-blooded and sunny character makes Shenshu and everyone get along with each other full of joy. The firmness and decisiveness when necessary make Naoki and Satoru a very compatible partner and the second core of the team. As for Uchiha Mikoto, although she has Uchiha Fugaku's guidance, as a girl, she usually cooperates with two boys to fight. Consciously or unintentionally, the two boys are trying to protect her as much as possible. It is really rare for a Uchiha with such a gentle personality like Mikoto. However, Mikoto is also from the Uchiha clan after all. Although she feels safe and happy to feel protected, she will never back down when she needs to stand up. Teacher Orochimaru, please don't make a move, I want to see how big the gap between me and them is. Orochimaru gave a low laugh, looked at Mikoto who was rushing towards the enemy holding a kunai, and nodded in satisfaction. Your growth is really amazing. Fight hard, can you become the real Uchiha before the real war comes? Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 50. Chapter 50. The technique of not hitting people. 4 for collection. Drink. Ding ding ding. Ah. The screams, the sound of cutting blades, the shuriken, the collision of Konoha. In the Ito mine, Mikoto and the samurai Sanada had already entered, while Orochimaru was behind to protect Mr. Ito and the old housekeeper. The guards in the mine include not only ordinary people, but also sand-hidden ninjas. But during this period of tense border confrontation, it is impossible for Sandyin to send the precious Chunin and Jonin forces to guard the mine. Here, they are all Jonin. But as one of the 5 great nations, Sand-Hidden Village, their ninjas are not so easy to deal with, not to mention, there is a small team here, 3 Sand-Hidden ninjas. The other party actually has a high ninja, and that girl is also a low ninja, so she is so strong. And is that, a samurai? A samurai from the land of iron? The 3 sub-ninjas of Shin saw Orochimaru watching the show behind, and only Mikoto and a samurai were killing all directions. The 3 of them are here, nominally guarding the precious mines of the Kingdom of the Wind, preventing them from being attacked by Yuyin village. In fact, it is to prevent the current situation, the authentic mine owner returns. But the mine owner actually appeared with the Konoha Jaminin. Aren't the 3 of them delivering food here? Quick, report to the Chunin captain. Seeing the appearance and disappearance of the 3 Sandgakure shinobi, the samurai Sanada and Mikoto paused their attacks. Ninjas from Hidden Sand Village. So, the Kingdom of Wind is officially stationed here? Mikoto turned her head and glanced at the ugly Mr. Ito. Whether this mine is worth continuing to attack, Mr. Ito, you decide. The samurai Sanada also retracted his sword and retreated to Mr. Ito's side. The guards had already been killed and dared not go forward. If Mikoto and Sanada hadn't killed them, the place was already full of corpses. After all, these people are not ninjas or samurai, just ordinary guards. Continue. Gritting his teeth, Ito's eyes drifted slightly, but his face became firm. Take it. This mine must not be lost. Otherwise, I will be ruined. I can add more money. In the Kingdom of Wind, I will naturally gather the Chamber of Commerce to discuss an explanation. My original subordinates are probably still inside, we must confirm their whereabouts. In that case, as you wish. Mikan sighed softly, and quickly hid the trace of her intolerance towards the fallen guards. As a ninja, since this is a mission requirement, it must be completed. Mr. Warrior, I leave these ordinary guards to you. Mikoto took a deep breath and said to the samurai Sanada, who agreed kindly. His original mission was to be the personal guard of Mr. Ito and the old housekeeper. At this time, what he should do more is to guard the employer. But Sanada quietly glanced at Orochimaru, who was smiling, half smiling beside his employer, and chose to listen to Mikoto's arrangements. Although the youngest can't bear it, their teacher. On the way, he had seen the methods of Orochimaru. Mr. Orochimaru, please escort the employer to the place where the documents are stored. I will clean up the ninjas inside and search for possible hostages. Mikoto tightened the Konoha forward guard, and pulled out 2 kunai. Time is running out, Wujun and senior brother Naisha don't know what's going on, we must control the situation as soon as possible. Good. Orochimaru smiled, nodded, and took out a handful of kunai. Then, I'm looking forward to your performance, Mikoto. You don't have to worry about them, as long as the ninja doesn't make a move, they'll be fine. Yes, thank you, teacher. Mikan disappeared instantly and rushed into the mine. Let's go, Mr. Ito, go to where the documents are located. Orochimaru glanced at the nervous Mr. Ito and the old butler, whose complexion changed, and shook his head. According to the mission requirements, escort you to successfully obtain the documents, and our mission is completed. However, in the current situation, if you are put here, you may be in trouble. Therefore, for the sake of the reputation of our village, I can promise you that the additional items for rescuing the hostages are free, but the premise is that they are still alive. Yes, thank you Jonin-sama. Ito was taken aback, and then realized that because he underestimated the determination of the Kingdom of the Wind to the mine had actually been controlled by Shayin. In other words, recapturing the mine and rescuing the hostages has greatly exceeded the mission goal. It's just that Orochimaru didn't mind using this opportunity to continue training his disciples, that's why he didn't remind Mikoto so generously. What the child asked herself before was to support her in rescuing the hostages as an employer, otherwise, if Orochimaru insisted on only taking the documents to complete the task, Mikoto would have no choice. Behind the main entrance of the mine is a small settlement, which is the living and office area. And farther away is the production area where the workers work. No matter how hard the beating outside was, it did not affect the work of the workers no matter who was in charge, the production of the workers could not be delayed. Therefore, all matters are resolved in the office area. There is a special ninjutsu enchantment set up here. Is there such a thing in the mine? Mikan found that the noise outside did not affect the workers, and there was no sound coming from the production area. There should be something like a soundproof barrier between the living and office area and the production area. Those three sands are holding back. I hope they won't go to Mrs. Orochimaru beyond their means. Mikoto shuttled between the houses, looking for hostages who might be detained, that is, Mr. Ito's original subordinates. Ding! Mikoto, who was running on the roof, suddenly stopped, and with a wave of her right hand, Konoha knocked a shuriken flying towards her into the air. That direction. As an expert in ninja throwing, Mikoto immediately judged the direction of the shuriken attack, on a big tree next to a house. Swish swish swish. Ah! 3 shurikens and 2 Konoha stabbed Sagano shinobi who had just jumped out firmly. Is it a bit heavy to start? Mikoto covered her mouth. To be honest, it seemed like it was the first time her shuriken really hit the target. Whether it's the usual sparring or this mission, her ninja throwing is more often used as a restraint. Usually, there are too many times when I hit empty, hit a substitute stake, or are simply blocked. Mikoto stuck out her tongue. It was the first time she dealt with a hostile ninja alone, and she suddenly realized. He's so weak. Silently complaining, Mikoto just wanted to move on, but jumped back directly. Tuk tuk. 3 shurikens hit the position where she was standing just now, and when she was in midair, a menacing wind blade swept towards her. Fire escape dragon fire art. Choosing the faster ninjutsu, the flames released by Mikoto scattered the oncoming wind blades, and then she quickly formed a seal, looking at another Sagakushi who was shocked by the blown blades. Art fire escape ho fireball. The huge fireball that was already comparable to Satoru's explosion flew towards the sand ninja who had just reacted. Mikoto calmly accepted the ninjutsu she was most proud of, and hit a stand-in stake. This is the most ineffective technique.